Packers turning 250, and it's time to rock out with our forefathers. American-made, battle-ready style for true patriots. Whether you're marching in the parade, grilling in the backyard, or raising a toast to liberty, do it in the gear that screams freedom. Celebrate 250 years of USA in style. Wear your American pride loud. Trendjackers.etsy.com. Grab yours before the fireworks.
They just go with the flow. It's the Herschy and Keegs show.
Welcome to Herschy and the Keegs show, starring pitcher Mark Hirschman and his personal catcher, Mike Keegan. Every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. live from the Governor's Comedy Club radio studio. Thanks so much for listening.
Well, welcome to the Herschy and the Keegs show. Today is Tuesday, February the 17th. Is that right, Tone?
Correct.
There it is. Thank you so much for your input. As you might be able to see right now, we have someone sitting in the Keegs chair, but it's not the Keegs. It is my man, longtime comic, Nassau County legend, father, marketing guru, legendary YouTube character. We have Tyler Gilden. Welcome to the show, Mr. Tyler.
Thank you for having me on. I hope I can.
Yeah.
I hope I can fill this the shoes in the seat well.
You know what? He has a little bit of a Keegs look. Like he's got like a cool vest on. He's wearing like a baseball cap. Like that's usually Keegs shtick too. So we've replaced the Buffalo Bills hat with an Islander cap, which fits this show very well since diehard Islander fan Tony Keegan. So we're gonna dive into Islanders too because I know that's one of your favorite things, right?
It is one of my favorite things when they're good, and
and they're really good.
And like the Bills, used to a lot of mostly struggling.
That's true.
As a fan, but
That's true.
Hopefully, the tide has changed.
Well, we're super excited to have Tyler on, and Keegs was super excited too. And as happens sometimes with the Keegs, he gets last-minute phone calls to do big acts, open up for big acts out of town, and that's what happened today. And as we've said from the beginning, we're never going to stop Keeger from fulfilling his comedy dreams, because ultimately it helps the brand of Hershey and the Keegs Show. So Keegs is out there killing it tonight, but we have Tyler here, and we're going to have a super show. Tone, we'll go ahead and we'll just do a couple of quick advertisements to start the show off, and then we're gonna dive right in with Mr. Tyler. Okay?
Whatever you want.
Thank you, sir. The Hershey and Keegs Show is proudly sponsored by Sophia Jewelry at 134 Gardeners Avenue right here in Levittown, specializing in diamonds and vintage jewelry. Go see Omid for all of your buying and selling of jewelry, and mention Hershey and the Keegs for a free appraisal. Of course, we have the good people over at Platinum Chiropractic. Dr. Kimberly O'Connor, she is fully dedicated to providing chiropractic solutions to address your unique needs, whatever you're experiencing, back pain or neck pain, headaches or muscle tightness. Please call Dr. Kimberly O'Connor at 516-935-3555. She will help you with all of your aches and pains. We have Anthony Banfich's New View Construction, established in 2007. They are the people to call for the finest craftsmanship and all of your general contracting needs. Call 516-924-5627 and do it with confidence. And of course, last but not least, for our first round of sponsors, we have our good friend Keith Dunn, American Restoration Solutions. When disaster strikes, and it will, they'll guide you to recovery. Call 516-662-9377 and ask for Senior Account Manager Keith Dunn. With no further ado, it is our great honor at Hershey and the Keegs Show to welcome Tyler Gilden. Hello, Mr. Tyler. We're so happy to have you, my friend.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here with the better looking of the two hosts of the show.
That's right.
So
Thank you.
I actually had a option. They said, which one, only one could be here tonight.
Yes.
And I chose you.
Well, what happened was they had called us, this big comedy venue, we're going to take one of you. And I said, no, take the Keegs, because I'm going to go ahead and hang out with Tyler tonight. And I actually have a lot to talk to Tyler about. And for people who don't know Tyler, and it's possible they don't, Tyler surfaced on the comedy scene around the same time that I did. 2010 is when I started, and I believe that's around the time. Were you a little bit earlier than that?
Yeah, no, I mean, more or less. I mean, I graduated in 2011 from Syracuse. So, I was performing throughout school. But yeah, no, I mean, in terms of like actually doing more gigs and any notoriety, around
here
that time.
You were doing it, so well, I'm going to talk about something which I think is going to refresh the memory of a lot of people, even though it's going back 15 years plus. My first knowledge of who Tyler was, and subsequently I remember the first time I met you, it was an open mic in August of 2010 at the Brokerage, August 11th 2010, and I'll tell you why. I'm a
little concerned.
No,
I'm a little concerned.
Hold on. It's not because you were there that I remember it.
Okay.
It's because it was my second show ever.
Okay.
So my first show was July 13th at the Brokerage of 2010, and then 1 month later, the day after my birthday, there was a show, an open mic, August 11th, 2010 at the Brokerage, and I remember you being there specifically. Can you turn the heat down, Tone? It feels like it's an oven in here.
Are you getting a little schwitz?
I'm a little emotional about it.
You getting a little schwitz thinking about this August 11th date?
No. The reason why Tony usually has it a little warmer in here, because people probably complain that it's cold, but I'm a warm-blooded soul, so I don't like it. But the reason why I remember you being on it, there's a couple of reasons, by the way. Number one, you were getting probably the greatest amount of heat in your entertainment career. Is that about right? Would you agree?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that was what. So that video must have come out some point
that
just
summer,
like a week or so before then, right?
That's exactly
that makes
right.
A lot of sense.
Okay, so to refresh your memory, and Tony, I didn't even brief you on this, but in the summer of 2010, there was a video that was created, produced acted, sung by, everything you want to say, by a group of young fellas from Nassau County, a mix of the 5 towns as well as the North Shore. It was kind of a spoof on the Jay-Z video Empire State of Mind, and it was called Nassau State of Mind or Nassau County State of Mind. And I will tell you that for me, it was the first video that I was aware of that like people were texting me. Like, I'm not saying it was the first viral video ever, but it was the first one that became Nassau famous, where people were getting it a lot, maybe because there was such a strong emphasis on Nassau.
Yeah.
Right. But I remember thinking, like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. So I'm sure that people will remember it. I put it on our Facebook page, but it was just incredibly done. And it was, I think it got definitely more than 1 million. It was millions of hits.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny when you think about the way people consume, viral videos, or just how easy it is. Not saying easy, but how many videos go viral
nowadays
on a daily, hourly basis.
Yeah.
It's amazing to think how a video like that would have done today. Would it have done 100 times that, or would it have been buried? I don't know. But yeah, no, it was definitely something that, I think I was going into my senior year at Keegs, and that was an idea that we, myself, Evan Krumholtz, who was another, aspiring comedian at the time, and my friend Cody, who was a, aspiring filmmaker at the time, and then another guy by the name of Nash Prince, who was an aspiring musician at the time, and then my friend Keith, who was just a friend and who's funny. And we kind of just had this idea, Crum and myself, and it was really based off of the idea that Empire State of Mind song was huge that summer, and everyone was singing that. And I honestly was like out one night in the city, and I was with a bunch of friends, and everyone was like singing, and I was really shocked at how many people, like girls, knew every line to that song. Yeah. And I just kind of had a funny idea, and I think I may have come up with like one hook first. Yeah. And I don't even know if at first I knew it was gonna be Nassau or it was gonna be like 5 towns state of mind. I really didn't know. Right. And then I kind of wrote my verses. Yeah. And then I spoke to my buddy, Evan, about who's from the North Shore. I was from the South Shore, from 5 towns. He was from the North Shore. I'm like, all right, here's what I got on the South Shore, which is primarily 5 towns. Like, what do you got on the North Shore? And we kind of just workshopped it together.
So I need to understand the dynamic, because I've never asked you about this. So obviously you were a Woodmere kid, went to Hewlett High School, and then so who else from the group was also a 5-towner?
Me, Cody, and then Keith, who's in it a bunch. But of the people who like really created it, me and Cody were from the 5 towns. Okay. Evan was from the North Shore in Jericho. Yeah. And then Nash, who did all the actual like recording of the music, was from the North Shore of Syosset.
Okay, so
we had split even. We had even, all Nassau, but even distribution of North Shore, South Shore.
So explain to me. So there's you who is at Syracuse at the time. How did you know these other guys who I think went to Miami? Some of them, is that correct?
Evan went to Miami. We were both just kids who were trying to make it in comedy and liked sketch comedy, and we'd actually done, it's funny thing is like Evan and Cody, we had done another video before that that like went nowhere. I think it was like we were doing some sort of like, there was some news article about, it must have been when whatchamacallit was huge, with like werewolves was huge. Oh, okay. What's the Twilight was huge. And I think there were people who were like pretending to be werewolves.
Yeah, there was a phenomenon.
Like, right. So we were pretending to be like, what if that was for like Frankensteins? And we were just pretending to be like Frankensteins walking around town.
Instead of werewolves. So it didn't hit.
No, yeah, it was just like a whatever. We put it really online just like for our friends, whatever. And then this was like the next of like, hey, maybe we'll do some sketch comedy together. And then this was obviously.
So did you meet so a couple of these guys you grew up with in town in 5 towns, and then these other guys you knew just through Long Island sketch comedy, not through school or anything like that?
No, yeah, I knew Evan through that, and then Nash Evan knew as somebody who does music. It's basically like, hey, we got this idea, but we need someone who like can actually like record like some of the vocals and actually do the music. And I was like, okay, great. And then my friend Cody was at the time trying to make it in film. Yeah. So like he was the one who shot it and did most of the editing, and then Evan and I wrote the lyrics.
I mean, so hopefully you guys will watch it. If you don't remember it, watch it again because it's fantastic. And certainly, I know from just being in this industry that it was a lot harder to put together than just a bunch of guys standing on, in front of the chalet or whatever, like chateau. Yeah, like it was not that simple. Like there was work to be done.
I mean, of course, like in anything, you have to. I mean, granted. Yes and no. I mean, ultimately we had access to, Cody had a decent camera and was good at what he was doing, and we wrote the lyrics, and basically, I don't know, maybe we did 2 or 3 different days of just driving around areas in
Peninsula Shopping Center and
we
Mateo's and
whatever the lines were of the song, we had to make sure we were somewhere close to the vicinity of those.
Right.
And then that was pretty much the gist of it.
I mean, so for me, just to give you some kind of relativity, I grew up right by the Gibson train station, but my mom and dad are from, went to Lawrence High School. They grew up in Cedarhurst, Woodmere. So I know every place that was in there in the 5 towns. I was extremely familiar with it. I knew, obviously Peninsula Shopping Center, Woodrow's and Max and Gino's and all that stuff. And anyone who grew up in that area obviously was familiar with it. Certainly for me, the spots that I always thought were awesome that you hit, Tamburinos, which I've talked about on the show to Keegan that I've wanted to get him there.
Never
but
been to Tamburinos?
he's an East Meadow kid. So like people who live out here wouldn't go out there.
No, everyone's at your local deli. Yeah, I mean Tamburinos was just like, that was the spot on the way to, if you're going to the beach, if you're going to Atlantic Beach, that was the way to go. And the amount of meat they gave you was like, it was almost egregious, the amount of meat that they would put on a sandwich.
So basically this was back in the era where like, we would bake and we would fucking be hungry and we would go there. So for me and my boys, we would stop at Tambo's if we were not only going to Atlantic Beach or something like that, but even if we were heading to like a Yankee game or a Met game, we'd be stopping at Tambo's. And Tony just... it's a little bit tough to get Tony excited about this because Tony likes Entenmann's cookies and French fries, and that's about it.
Let me stop you right there, pal. I used to go to Tambo's on a regular basis, and I loved their roast beef sandwiches.
Are you kidding me?
I used to work down there.
I knew all of that, but I know that you and your weirdo eating things. So the fact that you actually were there more than once is amazing to me.
Yeah, I worked in the 5-town Woodmere area, so we used to go there all the time for lunch.
So I don't even know. It's on Washington Avenue, I think it was. Is it still there? I mean, I don't even know.
I don't know. I hope so. I mean, I'm sure we could look it up quickly and find out. I don't know, but it was definitely at the time growing up.
The place.
A go-to sandwich spot. But also, what's funny is like, you bring that up, it's like, but also when you're, writing, I'm not a fucking songwriter, but when you're writing lyrics, shit has to rhyme.
Yeah.
And Tamburinos, Max and Gino's, there's always so many things that are going to rhyme.
I love
so that was like, I don't know which one came first, if it was Max and Gino's or Tamburinos, but ultimately, they had to go together because something not many things rhyme with that.
It looks like it's open.
All right, that's good.
So Tamburinos, like if you go and you just, for me, like my go-to was just turkey, like either Swiss or American, mayo, lettuce, tomato, and I was definitely heavier back then, so I could probably get through one of those sandwiches. I could never in a million years now. But you're getting, I think it's got to be at least a pound of meat. What it felt like.
It was literally like as if they gave you a sandwich and then they also gave you, a quarter pound of just sliced turkey on the side. But then they're like, fuck, we want to save the plastic. Let's just put it all on the sandwich.
Yeah.
It was massive. You could finish that. You would take that to the beach and like eat it on your way. If you took it to a game, you could probably have it like in between every inning, and you'd still have a snack for after the game.
You'd still have after the game, and you'd bake a little bit, and then you'd have it there. Tony, what's your remembrance of a roast beef from Tambo's?
Just like Tyler's saying, the thickness of it, a big thick meat,
thick meat, just like you always liked.
Just like you and Mike every Tuesday.
That's it.
Big thick meat,
big thick beef.
And they would heat it up if you asked. I remember plenty of winter.
All of the
days,
deli things they would do.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
I think I got a free sandwich out of the video. It's funny. It's, the places that gave me free stuff to places that didn't. And not that I went to any place expecting. It wasn't
Never.
like a marketing thing. But it was just funny, like the places that would like, oh my God, come. And the other places were like, oh yeah, that's nice. Okay, $10.99. Like,
That's
okay,
$11.
Exactly. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess.
Yeah. Well, so there was Tambo's. For me also, I spent so many days as a kid at Mother Kelly's, which is no longer in that location. But Mother Kelly's, you sit down and you can stuff yourself with a bowl of garlic knots before the egregious amount of food they served you.
Yeah, the garlic. It's funny. Like I really don't eat garlic much or onions. Like I got acid reflux, IBS. You name it. I spend time in the bathroom. I'm very Jewish.
Yeah,
but
you are.
The only garlic knots that I ever could consume and consume a lot of were the Mother Kelly's garlic knots. And like the unrolling of them, they were not. No other place does garlic knots like they did them.
They were not the typical
it was like almost
stuffed
like
knot.
It was like a pinwheel.
You could almost just unravel it and have a long piece of bread, basically. So there was that. And of course, when you made the Mateo's reference and you talked about Big Chris, who now is the owner of Chris and Tony's in Syosset, which I'm sure you've been to over the years, that was significant for me at the time because Big Chris, who's still a close friend of mine, we went to high school together, graduated together in 89 in Valley Stream. I thought that was the fucking neatest thing that you were talking about our boy in that video who, obviously Mateo's, he left there and formed Chris and Tony's and then 388 and the whole nine.
I mean, very obviously successful. Yeah, that was part of the North Shore verse where that, Evan handled that. And, we kind of had our things that we had to shout out, like he had, Chris, he had to shout out, I had to shout out Thumbs Up guy, a guy who gave thumbs up at Peninsula Shopping Center, who I haven't thought about in over a decade, but I think he's passed, so R.I.P. to him. But he was
R.I.P. Thumb guy.
He was a legend.
R.I.P. I remember him well. I'm curious, and certainly we have to be respectful because your family's listening, your wife could be listening. I'm just curious, in a PG version, what kind of what did that do for you guys at the time from a social standpoint, either that summer or when you returned back to Cuse and Miami? Like, people knew about it. They had to know about it.
No, yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, I remember, like, my phone just blew. Because it's one of those things where, like, we were really pushing it out at first, and then, like, we didn't have to.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we would have never thought. I mean, I guess, like, making a video on putting it on YouTube, getting millions of views wasn't really
a thing. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't a thing.
It was more like we were doing this for, like,
our
friends that we were doing it for. And, like, of course, obviously you wanted other people to see it, but, like, the idea that, like, it would get to 1 million views and we'd be on, like, NBC, talking about, like, that just wasn't something that we really thought about. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely like, like, oh yeah, I mean, like, I definitely had friends who got secondhand action because, oh man, like my buddy or like, oh, my brother or whatever. Like, there was definitely, there was a bit of that, but at the end of the day, it's like, but how much am I, whatever. It was a parody video where I'm, running around in a Hillel jersey, rapping about Nassau County. I mean, it was not like, I didn't win an Emmy for that.
No, I know, but I just know that, like, how things are, and listen, I'm not saying that you were like the Beatles with women throwing their bras at you, but
panties everywhere. I was getting,
I just
leftover Tamburino sandwiches were being thrown my way.
Garlic knots at you, but I do imagine that there was definitely some attention, and again, it's 2026. Like, that kind of shit is everywhere. It's all the time. So, like you said, I think it would be ginormous if it happened now, but you never know.
Right. It could be huge, or like, it got like, whatever it got, maybe 2 million views, whatever it was. Like, that would be like pennies. You know what I mean? Like, that would be pennies today. 2 million views. It wouldn't be the same.
Yeah. So you could say like $1 then is like $5 now. My guess is 1.5 million views then is probably 10 or 20 million views nowadays. Like, and it was just awesome. And for me, certainly brought to light some of the awesome things about growing up in that community where I spent. I was born in Far Rockaway, lived in East Rock, and then grew up in Valley Stream, but I was always around. Like, I went to Hewlett East Rockaway Jewish Center, Herschy, or youth group, and a lot of the same shit that you probably did.
That's the area. I mean, you were Gibson, so Valley Stream.
Yeah.
You ever played the Valley Stream train station hockey?
Dude, I mean, that's all the time, of course.
My stomping ground, man. They still got my jersey hanging from the railroad rafters, man. I was the king of that ring.
For us, actually, that came along a little bit later. We grew up playing at Barrett Park.
Right. Well, Barrett Park was like the OG. Like that's
Yeah.
where I played when I was very young.
Yeah.
But then most of my years was definitely Valley Stream, and then indoors was at Hot Skates.
Hot Skates, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like those were the fucking days.
They were the best days, and so I got a little nostalgic the other day when I was watching the video. I'm like, dude, we got to get this thing back out again, and maybe this will springboard it. But all right, so all these years later, out of those boys, are you still in touch with those guys? Like, who are you still?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I mean, like Cody and Keith are two of my like lifelong best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then I still talk to Evan a decent amount. Nash not as much, but like I mean,
You're still connected though.
All good with everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's funny because like obviously we're talking about it now, but like I don't necessarily think about that video that often. But occasionally it'll come up. Like I'll be out for dinner or something with people I'm legitimately friends with.
Yeah.
And then it'll come up. It's like, holy shit, like that was you, and like it triggers something like they had like I've known them for 3 years. Our kids are friends. We're at dinner, and like they just never put one and two together because they didn't know me growing up.
Yeah.
But anybody who knew me growing up knows that I did that video. But yeah, no, I mean it was definitely like a very funny thing that became listen. Is what it is. It was a viral, YouTube video that parodied Nassau County. But people still like for a while. I mean, we fucking performed at a bar mitzvah.
So that I want to ask you about. So explain to me, like, so I don't really remember that well, but like, what kind of did you get TV spots? Were you guys hired to do like?
Yeah, I mean, we were interviewed on like on NBC. I think it was like LX TV, whatever, which was wild.
Yeah.
And then a couple of like radio spots too.
Okay.
And then we had a couple opportunities come and go, whatnot.
Yeah.
But I mean, nothing like major, but yeah, definitely like opened some doors and relationships. But the whole thing was just it was bizarre. But yeah, no, we did. I did a couple of stand-up gigs at events because of it, for sure. Back
at school at this point, or no?
Yeah, no, definitely at school. I mean, I was already still doing them at school, but it definitely helped. But then I definitely did. Some other like shows, or it was really big with like young kids. I mean, the fact that we did a bar mitzvah, like we performed it at a bar mitzvah, but like obviously there's some profanity in it. So I think it was like forget about the oil spill. It's Brian's bar mitzvah. Like we like threw we would throw some words in there.
So were you guys on the mic performing it live, or you were like syncing?
No, it's a good question.
That's
it's
crazy to me.
It's not like we had instruments.
Right.
It must have just been that they played it.
Yeah.
And we must have just like rapped to it. I don't know. It's the idea. I mean, I guess for better or for worse, it wasn't the social media age. Like I don't have a cell phone video, but like I'd like to look at it now of like, what the hell? Like we were at some kid's bar mitzvah performing that, and there's that kid's out there somewhere knowing that like when they like talk about their bar mitzvah one day, like I had these kids who did this YouTube video about Nassau County singing at my bar mitzvah. It's just bizarre.
I find that to be fantastic to me. Like it's kind of a blessing and a curse. Like it's kind of cool that there's no video of it, but there would also be something neat if there was a video of it. I've talked about it on the show. When I was 13, a very close family friend of mine, one of my best friends when I was that age, his father was he owned a clothing store in the 5 towns called Closeouts, and he was very wealthy, and they rented out the Lawrence Country Club, which you know very well, I'm sure. And he rented a big party bus for all of the 13-year-old boys and girls that were friends with this kid Neil, and he brought us there under the guise of, you guys are going to have the time of your life, but we had no idea what we were walking into. And what we walked into was a full-blown WWF wrestling ring. Okay, and we sat there at the cocktail hour.
Club?
Yeah. He rented a ring and put it in there. Yeah, like a full-size ring.
Yeah.
I don't know what it cost. It must have been a ton of money. And then we went in for the cocktail hour, and sitting there breaking bread with us for the cocktail hour was Classy Freddie Blassie, Pat Patterson, Mike Rotundo, like legitimate.
What was the kid's name?
Neil Siskind. He was. I'm older than you. Don't forget.
So what was this? Is a bar mitzvah? I'm assuming.
Just a bar mitzvah.
So what's the bar mitzvah theme? Like Neil's wrestling event, or like WWF with Neil.
That's it. Yeah, like we were.
I just want to know if it was something cheesy. What's the catchy name? It's always a name.
There was no. It was basically like we were junkie wrestling fans. You have to remember, this was like 1983, 84, when it was like right as Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania started, but it was more so like Bob Backlund and Jimmy Snuka.
So was it like Neil's No Holds Bar
No,
mitzvah? There's always a name. There's got to be a catchy name.
There wasn't a name. It was just go in there. Well, so getting back to why I'm bringing this up is that I have asked Neil, who I still talk to once in a while. He's an attorney in Boca Raton now. I'm like, I know there was a videotape of it, and we need to get that video because I think it could really be amazing. He's like, dude, it's in my mother's attic somewhere in Limbrook. Like, we're never going to find it. And, like, back then, no one gave a shit about recording things. It was just the bar mitzvah tape. But kind of reminds me of that. Like, if you unearth some of these things, it's like some of these things would, like, I guess it was like a year or two ago, I put on Instagram on a reel about 60 seconds of my prom video from 1989, and it got like 50,000 views like instantly,
It's nostalgia. So, people see that. They go, oh, I remember when I would wear shit like that or, looked like that. No, but so it's interesting you bring that up because, well, firstly, I want you to find out what Neil's bar mitzvah theme was because every bar mitzvah has a name.
I don't know why you're so hooked on this.
I was Tyler Vision rated TG-13, which was very, which was,
all right.
very
I'll see what I can
much
do.
On par with what my mom would want the theme to be.
Okay,
but,
fine.
So speaking of that, I recently, my mom passed away about almost 2 years ago come April, and we sold the house in Five Towns, Woodbury, where I grew up, and I wanted to go through. So growing up, and naturally with what I do now in video, I always had a camera and was always filming stuff. I was never very good at filming, but I was just filming shit. I just did it. And so I found a ton of my old VHS-C tapes and have recently digitized them. And so I've been going through them, and it's so like actually like right now with it being the Olympics. Yeah. So in 2002, my dad took me to the Olympics in Salt Lake. So I've been watching through some of the videos, and it's hilarious seeing myself because it's like, oh my God, I do look so much like my son who's 7 now. And I think I was like maybe 12 then.
Yeah, sure.
But just like the shit that I'm saying, and it's great. And we found some gems. So we found some real great family gems and stuff that I filmed, when I was trying to make videos with my friends and, doing, class projects. I mean, I was a big, I have awful handwriting. I've always had terrible handwriting.
Yeah.
And just always tried to find ways to get around having to write shit.
Right.
And that was always my thing. Like, ironically, I like to see myself as a writer, but I don't like to physically fucking write.
Right.
And, typing wasn't really that much of a thing in high school, but
Was
I used to
not.
get away all the time with not doing, like, essays or, like, class projects by doing a video instead. So I found I unearthed some of my, like, middle school and high school class videos, and there's just some really epic stuff on there.
So you've unearthed this stuff. You started to digitize it. Have you thought about putting it out there? Do you think that there's an avenue where you can make something of this?
I mean, I think it's fun. I mean, like I posted some stuff, but there's definitely more stuff like that I haven't. Like I have to put the time to really like go through and make something of it. I do think that like it is cool, even if I'm just making, it's just nice, like, memories of my mom and like finding things and sending to my siblings.
Yeah.
Like, here, this was your 7th birthday.
Right.
This was your 3rd birthday. This was, whatnot. But yeah, no, I'd like to. Like, I'm debating if there's enough material in the Salt Lake City stuff. Like, yeah, right now it's the 2026 Olympics.
24 years later,
right, 24 years ago when I went with my dad.
Yeah.
And just it's just funny seeing my dad so young. And, like one of the clips I watched recently, he's talking to my mom on the phone and he's like, maybe bringing the camera wasn't a great idea because he's very annoying. And it's just like, that's funny that like I capture that moment of my dad saying that. But like, yeah, a lot of it's also like me just being in people's faces and zooming in and out and just trying to do commentary. And it makes me think that if we were living in a world now, then we're like, I would have uploaded it. I mean, I made videos by myself, even my own bar mitzvah. I have a video of myself, the making of my bar mitzvah, like that morning, me waking up and then me going to the bar mitzvah, me filming people at my own bar mitzvah. Like, who the fuck does that? Right. I don't know. But like,
it's fantastic, though.
If I would have done it, like, I would have had a YouTube. I would have done all that. I would have had a TikTok. But
your own channel,
that wasn't the stuff.
So it's interesting. I'm kind of in an internal battle here, like thinking like, dude, you should make something of this. But then also I'm like, well, that's just intimate stuff that you have that is important for you to show your kids and your wife and your dad and stuff like that maybe you don't need to make into a big thing out of it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think I need to do a big thing. It's just, they're just nice on their own. But yeah, I mean, listen, I have editing capabilities and abilities. So, like, sure, if I can make short films or clips or reels out of it. Why not? I mean, listen, there's some stuff that's just, there's a video of me literally just getting dressed and dancing, and it's like, what the fuck am I doing?
Keegan
and
would like that video.
I mean, it's there's
Wearing too much clothes.
Yeah,
right,
probably. Yeah.
Well, I'm just. It's,
Do you have any scantily clad 13-year-old stuff? Mike would like that stuff.
I listen. I definitely have unfortunately some of that. I have times when I had, we're in high school or middle school. We had the girls over in the basement. I'm zooming in on butts. Like whatever. I'm just
That's Keegville,
I'm just
baby.
like I'm a dumb kid with a camera. But listen,
I love it.
at least I went into production. I wasn't just a
Right.
creep. Like at least this was
Something's
this was
happening with
leading
it.
to something. Clearly, I had a
Yeah.
passion. I wasn't just like, hey, I want to just like be a creeper.
I love that.
But yeah, no, I found some great stuff. But Legacy Box is the site that you could like they send you a box and you could physically put all your stuff, send it to you, and then they send it back to you, and they digitize it all, and then you pay a cloud storage for it. But I highly suggest it because it was really cool stuff that I don't remember that. I don't really remember going to the Olympics.
You're 8 years old, 10 years old.
Yeah, you have the general memories, but yeah, some of the stuff that I found, while some of it's incriminating, a lot of it is enjoyable to watch.
Legitimate stuff. Okay.
Like Keegan, he has a legacy box.
He does have a legacy box. All right. So, but speaking of incriminating, before I want to switch over to August 11th, 2010. But before I do that, we're going to go ahead and bang out our second list of sponsors. We have North Belmore Collision. We meet by accident. We work with all major insurance companies. We do free estimates. We do free estimates on glass. That's a new touch that they have. 2734 North Jerusalem Road in North Belmore. Call our guy Ami 24/7 516-785-4862. And again, you can call him 24/7 at that number. We have the Advapsky family, demolition specialists, 1-855 Ripouts. The number you call for demolition, dumpsters, and fence rental. Family owned and operator for over 30 years. They are a fully licensed demolition contractor. And of course, last but not least, the beautiful New York State licensed real estate person, Diane Keegan from All Island Estates Realty Corporation. You can call Diane directly at 516-458-1864 or email her at diane@allislandestates.com. If you're looking to rent, sell, or buy, make sure that you call Diane. She will be your first choice. And of course, our fine friends, Eric Haft. We almost forgot about him. Thank you, our wonderful producer, Tony. Sunray Services. Now is the best time to convert to hybrid heating and cooling. Call them today at 631-231-5533. Again, Sunray Services. Visit them online at www.sunrayservices.com. Thank you to all of our Hershey and Keegs sponsors, as always. Now, we're going to fast forward back to the summer of 2010. I do my first show, my stand-up university graduation show, July 13th, 2010. I go into it with the idea that it was going to be my peak, my plateau, my mountain, and then I realized that I liked it, and I got a little bug about it, and I found out that there was going to be a mic at the brokerage August 11th, the day after my birthday. And I knew that even though I had 100-something people at that first graduation show, that there were still people that hadn't gotten a chance to come that first time. So I got a spot on that open mic, and I was super stoked to find out that Tyler Gilden from Nassau County State of Mind was going to be on the show. And you were a kid at the time. You were like, so in 2010, you were
20?
21, maybe, something like that.
20 or 21, yeah.
Yeah. So here's what I remember about you, okay?
Oh, boy.
I remember about you. There's a couple things. I remember, number one, that you had packed the place out. There were a lot of people there to see you at the time. And I don't know if it was a product of Nassau State of Mind or just the fact that you were doing a mic and you had told family friends or a combination of both, but you had packed the place out. I also remember that whoever was hosting the show had put you at a place in the lineup that had bothered you because you're like, I remember you saying, like, I brought all these people, you can't put me up here. And I don't know if it was up top or at the end, but whatever it was, I'm like, yeah, he's kind of making a good point. Like, his people shouldn't have to wait that long or whatever. Maybe your people weren't there yet.
I'm curious what it was.
It was one of those two that you were, and then I remember that you went up, and again, in my mind, I'm thinking like, this video that he just did was really like like white bread, like clean, and then you went up there and you did some really fucking filthy ass jokes. Like, and I don't really like. I've seen you around the club. I haven't seen a lot of your act recently. Is your act dirty still or not really?
Nah, not that dirty.
Okay.
I mean, not as dirty. I mean, listen, you talk about a 21 year
So
old.
do you remember? I mean, I'm not gonna. There was one joke that sticks in my mind that I'm not. I remember the content of it, and we can talk about it after. I might not even want to discuss it right now. But it was so vulgar, and I'm like, this fucking kid. Like, this is Nassau's. This is like this is fucking Mateo's kid, like Peninsula Shopping Center kid, and I was almost like a little taken aback.
You'll tell me after. I'm curious which.
It was
joke
horrendous.
Okay, so it
was horrendous.
So I was okay. So let me put this together.
Yeah.
So I was complaining about my spot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was just giving very filthy jokes.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
you liked me. Why?
Well, no, I was just listen. I thought it was super cool. You have to remember, like, people often start comedy or would take these classes with the idea of becoming comics, right? Sure. I was not that person. At the time of the summer of 2010, so I started stand-up university on June 8th, 2010. My third child was born 4 weeks before. When my wife heard that I was taking one of these classes, she's like, "Are you out of your fucking mind?" I had now a newborn. Right. I had a 5-year-old, and I had a 7-year-old and a newborn. And she's like, "You're going to go where every Tuesday night for 5 hours and learn how to write jokes and hang out with your buddy," which, my buddy John O'Connor, who's the one who signed us up for the class. But it was something that, for some reason, I felt like it was the right time to do it, and to kind of like, listen, that you were the funny kid growing up. So it was almost like a challenge. Like, everyone, you think you're so funny, go become a stand-up. But it was never about that for me. It was about just climbing the mountain and actually doing 6 minutes of stand-up on stage, and fighting the fear that I had always had, the horrific fear of in-person speaking, public speaking. I had a terrible fear of it. Now I can go on stage and not think twice about it. But then, so I slayed the beast. I did that show, and then I did the mic, and, gradually, like, as I went through the process, I would start being on shows with, like, the Chris Montes and the Joe Stars and the Chris Roaches and some comics that I had watched over the years and really enjoyed, and just sat in the club watching, and now I'm hanging out in the green room with them. So everything was very magnified for me. So for me, I was very aware who you were. I was extremely impressed by who you were, even though I was old enough somewhat to be your father probably, or maybe a little bit 15 years different, whatever. But I was like, fucking Tyler Gilden's going to be here? Like, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And you didn't disappoint me, don't get me wrong. I think you did really well that night, by the way. And you were new. I knew you were new. But I was just like, when you're expecting, like, I'll give you an example. Like, you grew up, or maybe you're a little young, but Bob Saget from Full House. Like, when you first saw Bob Saget do stand-up.
Okay, you're getting funny. Yeah, first.
No.
Yes, I understand that he's the Full House nice guy, and then he's a filthy, raunchy comic. That I get, okay.
Yeah. I'm not saying that you were the level of Bob Saget to me. I'm just saying that when I saw you raunch it up a little bit, I was like, dude, this is the coolest thing ever.
No, but you know what? My stand-up was always early on. I mean, listen, when you're young, you
were a kid. You were a college kid.
You speak to what you know, and that's just drinking and sex, or wanting to have sex, and or maybe exaggerating a bit. But once you become an adult, but also like a parent, my stuff at times I enjoy a dirty joke, but for the most part, like, my stuff is relatively clean. I still think it could be edgy without being filthy, but no, a lot of my stuff then was definitely like shock value.
It was shock,
filthy.
I loved it.
That was definitely like I don't think I could pull that off.
No,
now.
I don't think you can.
Nor do I want to.
Well, so let's fast forward now, because I'm intrigued to know that, like, so you're a 36-year-old guy, right? Is that right? You're married. You have how many children?
2.
7 and what else?
6.
7 and 6. So you're a very successful business person, marketer.
I thought you were going to say sexy.
You are sexy. That would be what Keegan said. But ultimately, I'm curious. Like, your wife, does she think you're funny?
No.
Does not.
I think I'm very annoying. No, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Yes, my wife thinks I'm funny in
Yeah.
different ways, but would probably find me more disruptive and annoying,
So
if anything.
I know when I see you out at the club over the past few months here and there, we talk online, whatever, we message back and forth. You come by yourself. You're not bringing usually your wife. She's not usually here.
Oh, she's got no interest.
None.
No. And
Isn't that fascinating?
And nor do I have interest in her.
Yeah.
Being here. I mean, a lot of my material
Yeah.
is about her and my kids.
Me too. Yeah.
Which is why I don't know how pleased she would or wouldn't be to hear that. Though she's always been a good sport. Let's take a step back. When I was first dating her,
Which is how long, by the way?
when did we start dating? We're going to be married 10 years in October.
Oh, geez.
And I think we were dating. I think we started dating in 2012.
Oh,
got
wow. So
married
it's been a long
2016.
time. You were kids. Yeah,
so,
like me.
So she was a big supporter early on.
Yeah.
Just in terms of she would come to shows if I needed to fill people, or she'd bring all of her friends and
Yeah.
they get a table.
Yeah.
Her parents. No, she was great. I'd say in the last, I couldn't tell you the last show she's been to.
Isn't that something?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know the last show that she's been to, and that's okay with me, okay with her. Plus, listen, you do a show at night, we got to get someone to watch the kids.
Right.
Whatever.
It
got
costs
coverage.
more money than you're going to make. Yeah.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, it's totally fine. It's something, I do, on my own. But yeah, she's there with me because I'm talking a lot about her and my kids.
Right.
But I'd be curious if she saw my most recent set, what she would laugh at. Some of the jokes she's probably heard over the years.
Yeah.
Others not so much. But yeah, no.
But she also realizes that this part of you, this stand-up comedy, is also the creativity, is also what pays the bills. Like, you're a very successful marketer. I mean, I can say that. That's essentially you're in the marketing and you do videos and whatnot. There's definitely a connection to your brain of comedy and your connection
for
of...
sure. I'd say, listen, at this point, I'm doing stand-up as more of a skill set, hobby, continuing to craft. Listen, I'll always kick myself that should I have done it more? Did I take too much of a break? I never took an official break. I didn't take a retire, but life goes on. I was doing a lot more, directing and producing type stuff than necessarily getting on stage and performing. And I became a little bit more of the behind the camera guy than the in front of the camera guy I had at one point aspired to be and was pursuing. And that's just you kind of go where your career goes, and you always say, oh, I should have done this, I could have done that, but then you wouldn't be where you are. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm also only 36. I can
Right.
still plenty of time to do more stuff. But yeah, I think right now it's important to me to maintain it. I wish I did it more and would like to do it more, but I have other responsibilities plus work, career stuff.
Yeah.
I have a production company, Gildan Media.
Yeah.
We do a lot of marketing, commercial, e-commerce stuff, documentary. Aspire for some larger projects that are in the works. But so some of it is comedic. A lot of it really isn't.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's a mixed bag. But yeah, I've definitely transitioned more into a producer, director type than necessarily a comedian.
Yeah, but again, your comedic brain is all connected to that. Your creativity, your imagination, things like that, and certainly just talking about directing and I think just from the stuff that I know of you, the most beautiful piece of art that you put together was essentially a documentary, I guess, an homage to your granddad called Starfish, which for those who don't know what it is, where could they find Starfish if they want to watch it?
Yeah. Starfish is on Amazon, Apple TV, I think Vimeo on demand. I mean, if you go on gildanmedia.com, there's a tab, the Starfish. But yeah, if you look up the Starfish, Tyler Gildan, you'll find it. But yeah, Amazon, if you have the $2.99 to rub together, you could purchase it on Amazon.
So I'd like for Tyler to touch on this because it really is a very special piece. But essentially, your grandfather was a 10-year-old little German Jewish boy whose parents sent him away with two of his older sisters out of the country because what was going on was the Holocaust and things like that. And it's I remember watching it years ago, and I remember messaging you about it years ago. And certainly as someone from German Jewish roots myself, obviously, and my father and my grandfather from Germany, I thought it was just an exquisitely well done piece. And for a guy who was 30 years old with a million things going on, babies being born and whatnot, what made you decide to do this piece, and how intimate was it to you, and how significant is it to you till today?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely it was something that when my grandfather's older sister passed away in 20. I'm going to say 2017. His sister Seal, when she passed away at the funeral, my grandfather was giving a eulogy, and the way he spoke about his time. So I mean, basically, as you mentioned, when he was 10, his sister was 12 and 14, and they were growing up in Germany, and things started to take a turn for the worse for the Jewish people through the organization Hayas, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. His parents were able to get him and his sisters out of Germany to Sweden, where they lived in a small ski town, Falun, in Sweden, with 3 different Swedish families. So, I mean, the thought that, as a parent now, the idea of taking your children and basically sending them on a train to live with other families in another
Incomprehensible.
country. I mean, if
can't
you're
comprehend
sending if you were sending them on a train to go to Madison Square Garden by themselves on Penn Station, you'd be like, oh,
Shit pickles.
and you'd be nervous about other, things that happen on the LIRR. But still, like, the idea that they went through that, and just, I had never really heard my grandfather tell his story, and at the funeral, giving his eulogy, I was just like, holy shit, I work in video production, I have access to cameras and crews, and like, I should at the least sit down with him and capture this, because before it's too late. And fortunately, I was able to do that and do the documentary, and he ultimately passed away shortly afterwards. So it is one of the greatest things that I was able to do for myself and my family. I mean, my cousins still will thank me to this day, and the idea that I have a poster in my office at home, and my kids will look up at it like, oh, what's that? And it's like, I know one day I'll be able to show them, like, oh, like, that's your great grandfather and your great aunts, and so it'll be the gift that can keep on giving. So yeah, it was just something that I felt I wanted to do, and I really didn't know if I was just going to sit down and just film him and then just like that's it, time capsule. But it just then I said, okay, maybe I should talk to his sisters at the time had passed, but let me talk to his sister's daughters, my dad's cousin. Okay, let me talk to my dad. Let me talk to my and all of a sudden it turned into something, and it was it was a beautiful thing.
So certainly from an outside perspective, I see it as something that not only you did for yourself, but it turned out to be an incredible mitzvah that will live on for generations, because there's always going to be Gildens down the road, second generation, third generations, who have this time capsule, for lack of a better description, but this intimate, beautiful piece that how long do you think it took you to from start to finish to assemble the whole piece?
It was about 2 years. I mean, it's not like it was it's not like I was working on it every day for 2 years, but 2 years from start to finish. And yeah, went through when you're doing something so personal like that, then at some point we gotta be like, okay, well, what will the average person care about versus what I'm gonna,
Right.
Obviously I'm gonna find it all
You
interesting.
care about all of
right,
it.
It's my family, and obviously my family will find it all interesting.
Right.
It's our family. But then if I want other people who are not my family to
Right.
watch it, like, what are the key themes, or what are the things,
What's relative to
exactly.
other
so
people?
I did a ton of screenings with a lot of people, just to see what resonated with them, what did they like, and and it helped me kind of we did so many different iterations of what became the final piece, and that was really just through really just continue, like anything, like a comedy set, working it until you felt like it is, at the end of the day, it's got to be relatable. It's got to be, and to me, it's a Holocaust story, but like it's also like not, it's really a story about, you can find it, the American dream. It's a story about, human kindness. It's a story about having empathy. It's about perseverance. Like, it hits on so many themes that are, I know it sounds weird to be like it's an uplifting Holocaust story. Seems strange, but like, no, at the end of the day, it is uplifting. It was, born out of a tragedy and terrible circumstances. But ultimately, my grandfather went on to live a, very, successful, happy, healthy life.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've been fortunate to watch it at, many festivals, and in many screenings and rooms, and it's always like to see what people resonate with, and I'll never forget, so when we first finished it, he was alive.
Yeah.
And when it premiered at the Miami Jewish Film Festival and several festivals, he was alive, and then he passed, and then I had the decision of like, well, what do I do now? Do I change the film's ending or not? And I ultimately decided to change the film's ending, because I felt like it really did bookend his life, and that was okay, and I updated it. But it's amazing the emotion in the rooms. Like, I remember like San Francisco when we screened it at the festival there, and that was the first time we screened it since he had passed, and like the like you felt and heard everybody
Yeah.
like weep at the end when like the end card came on that like he passed away, in April.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really cool that I was able to take my grandfather's story that was not that meaningful to that many people, and make it more meaningful to more people. It was just an awesome thing.
I imagine it reached a level in your mind of a surrealness when you're sitting there in these film festivals. This labor of love originally turned into such a manifesto of beauty like that. I imagine there are times where you're sitting there like, holy shit, I did this. And I did it by myself mostly.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I always believed in it. I think, listen, I knew what it was, and I felt like his story was compelling enough to be told to people would resonate with it. And it was important for me, obviously, it's a Jewish story, but I wanted it to not just be a Jewish story.
Right.
I wanted it to be something
and that's not what it was.
That anybody can relate to. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
it's amazing in the Jewish community, and we were really fortunate last year. We actually went to Sweden and we screened it at the Holocaust Museum in Sweden, and we had the Swedish family members who were still around. They came, we had a big dinner, and like, that's pretty fucking cool. Like the idea that like this is your great your great grandparents took in my grandfather
Right.
in 1940, and now in 2025 we're sitting at some Swedish restaurant,
Right.
drinking wine
And
like
having
that's-
crepes.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking cool.
No, not crepes. Crepes would be France.
Crepes is France. We could have had crepes afterwards.
So I imagine listen, you've obviously you're a young man who's accomplished a lot. I mean, obviously married, 2 kids, you have a business. As far as from a non-child wife standpoint, is it one of the most things that make you most proud that you've accomplished so far in your life?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but like anything, it's you want to do more. So like,
Yeah.
I've been working on a documentary now that we've been working on for 5 years, that I'm hoping we're going to start really hemming into post-production this year, and that I'm hoping can hit the festivals and whatnot by next year. And that's been another labor of love, but nothing will ever be probably as personal as that was, just because it was like my family, it was my grandfather's story. But there's a lot of other stories to be told out there, and like anything, you have to invest in that, and in anything like a documentary type of stuff, you really have to invest in the story.
We can probably find some of the parties from August 11th, 2010 to do a little a documentary about that day if you want.
That day, I mean, I think you need to do a documentary. That day is clearly solidified.
It's solidified
in your mind.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
like
it's deep. It was a big day.
You have a
It was a big
tattoo
day.
of those
I
that
have
date.
it. That's actually what the whole thing is.
If you look
code
from far
for it.
away, it's really
all-
just
yeah.
8, 11,
Just go outside
10,
and you'll see it. Okay, let's wrap up with some sports stuff, because you're someone who I can tell from your posts all the time. So I think, if I remember correctly, I know you're a Junkie Islander fan. I think you're sadly a Jets fan like me as well. Is that right? Knick fan as well?
I am.
And Met though.
I'm a Jim fan. I mean, that was another video I did that people will. I'd say that the 2 videos that people reference to me the most is NASA State of Mind and the Jim fan video. So I did a video basically that was like Jets, Islander, Met fans, and like that's like the syndrome of being a Jim fan, because for most of my life being a sports fan has been miserable.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Like, so I'm trying to think right now. I mean, we won't touch too much on the Jets just because we know that there's literally no hope there.
They are the
Yeah.
arguably, I mean, I don't think it's arguably, they are the worst franchise in all
They're
of pro
the
sports.
worst franchise, and obviously I've been watching them for longer. That you were born in what, 1989, the year I graduated from high school. Thanks for making me feel old. But so I've been watching since 77, 78, 79, and it's just been, for the most part, horrific. Now we're at a point, I'm sure you'll agree, where it's a mockery what they're doing. They've retained a coach who doesn't belong being the coach, but because they stupidly signed him to a 5-year contract, they can't get rid of him, and now he fired his staff, and now he can't even find guys to coach. I mean, how frustrating is it for you as a 36-year-old Jet fan, knowing that you're not going to get a chance to watch them win anytime soon, nor your children?
I mean, well, my son's already told me he's a Bills fan.
Oh, okay,
And,
good.
and, he's already said likes Josh Allen. He's a Bills
Good,
fan.
do it.
I said, go
Yeah,
for it.
yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, I would never let my son root for, of all of my teams, like, the Jets have just are the last ranked anyway.
Yeah.
But like, I would never let him root for another hockey team
Okay.
or baseball team. You want to be a Bills fan? I'm like, dude, go for it. I'm like,
Go for it.
I hate to break it to you. you're not gonna be that much more happy, but
Right.
like you
You'll-
will
a
on a
little
week
bit.
to week basis. Like you will have some form of pleasure, but like ultimately you will be
You
disappointed.
won't have the level of misery that we as Jet fans have all the
yeah,
time.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, but is it even misery anymore? At this point, it's just like I'd argue being a Bills fan could be more miserable because like there's expectations.
Expectations and
There's
hope. Yeah.
zero
Yeah.
expectations.
Well, so speaking of expectations, I would say, and this is a room, me, Mikey, Tony, we love the Islanders. We actually, all of us, not Mike, but me and Tony, lived through the 4 cups. You obviously have seen ebbs and flows of goodness, but would you agree right now, just from a historical standpoint, that what we're seeing with the Islanders, which unfortunately is on delay now for the next 6 months because of this bullshit Olympic thing, which is fine. I'm all about the
Bullshit.
Olympics.
Olympics is fucking great.
It's great, but for me, the fact that we don't get a chance to watch the NHL for weeks is an
it's a
issue
couple
for
weeks.
me.
Yeah, I agree.
But so I guess bullshit's a little strong. Obviously, I'm big into the miracle. And
bullshit Olympics,
the fucking
man.
Olympics.
What's
but,
going on? All these
yeah,
countries.
I don't mean it like that, but it's frustrating for me
cares
because I
about
feel like
gold?
we were in the midst of the best season we've had in a
for
long
sure.
time. Like,
But they needed a break. To be honest, the Islanders were like,
yeah,
I think this break is coming
I hope.
at a good time. Let
Yeah.
Matthew Schaefer.
yeah.
The kid played 17 games last season and has
Yeah.
played 52 whatever
Yeah.
the season. Let the guy get a bit of a breather
respite.
because but I think to your point you were going to say this is about the most optimistic and excited I've been an Islander fan in a long time.
I mean, and again, I look to be sometimes brought down a peg or two because I'm super stoked about the young players they had. They have an incredible keeper. They have Horvat. They have Schaefer. I mean, they have legitimate pieces that I feel, without trying to blow smoke up my own gazoo, that this is a team that can make a sustained run in the playoffs. Do you wholeheartedly agree, or am I just talking bullshit?
No, I mean, listen, I would say this year the goal is just to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think that's the goal this year is get experience, make the playoffs.
But they're
Once you get in,
a
make some
top
noise.
team in the conference, though. So
I would say this team is on track to be a consistent contender. Do I think that they are a contender right now for the Stanley Cup? I don't think so. I mean, let's see what happens before the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that's the goal. I think they went into this season saying, "Hey, let's see. This is Matthew Darsh, the GM, this is his first year. Let's see what we got, and then we'll decide what we want to do and where we want to move."
Yeah.
But I think right now this is one of the best. Their prospect pipeline has ever looked. Similar to the Mets.
Yeah.
They have a very good prospect pool right now.
Yeah.
They have, when you get a guy like Matthew Schaefer, who is a generational talent, who I think everyone said like, oh yeah, he was the
consensus, no question pick.
He was the consensus pick, but he was not considered generational.
Right.
He is absolutely generational.
There's no question.
He is what he is doing. And listen, there's other good rookies this year. Don't get me wrong, but you take those rookies off their teams; those teams are still good. You take Matthew Schaefer off the team. I don't know what this team is without Matthew Schaefer. He has changed everything. He has woken up Pulak's playing his best hockey.
Yeah.
Pellick's playing his best hockey, and he enables Waugh to do the entire system, style that he wants to do. This
That's right.
kid is unbelievable.
Well, so I think what's interesting about what you just said, and if you look, he's a defenseman, so he's not expected to have the same amount of points as a center forward. But if you look at the odds right now for NHL Rookie of the Year, he's a heavy favorite.
Oh no, but there's how could he not? I think even if he never played another game the rest of the season, I still think he wins. In terms of what he does for that franchise. The Islanders are always the laughing stock franchise.
That's right.
And for the first time that I can ever remember, Islanders are fucking cool, and they're smart. They have a new GM. They brought in a new VP of operating.
And the coach is well liked.
They're trying to now make the Islanders the cool thing that if you grow up on Long Island, you must be an Islander fan. And I'll tell you right now, and it's working. A guy like Matthew Schaefer, it works. I have a bunch of friends who grew up Ranger fans, but not huge hockey fans.
Just whatever.
But they're kids now. Matthew Schaefer. And I'm telling you, I can name on my hand 5 guys I know who grew up Ranger fans who are all my kids love the Islanders. Fuck it. It's easier to get to UBS than to go to the Garden. I'll be an Islander fan. And that's what a guy like Matthew Schaefer does. He then takes every kid. They're selling out 48 nonstop. So for me, when I watch him play and I watch every game just like you do, I see a kid who is
18 years old. His body is not anywhere close to what it probably is going to be from a standpoint of
for sure.
weight and muscles and whatnot. What we are seeing now is probably really just the tip of the iceberg of what we're going to see, where this guy is going to be every single year top 3 or 4 Norris Trophy. I think I'm not talking bullshit here.
No, it's unlike anything I've ever seen. I've never the Islanders never have superstars. I mean, yes,
No.
John Tavares was the closest thing.
Yeah.
But such different players, such different
Right.
characters, but also like he's the perfect player for like this team. Also, right now, like
Yeah.
he's got the personality. I mean, it's not even just what he does on the rink; it's what he
Yeah.
does off the ice. I mean, they love him on Spittin' Chicklets. They love him on TNT. They
Oh,
love him
yeah.
every podcast. I mean, this guy is like the NHL. Loves this guy because he is, they got him on, he's living with the Martins, so he's on WFAN. talking to
Boomer's
Boomer.
talking about him all the
that's
time.
What he is doing himself, like
Yeah.
he should have an ownership stake in. I mean, at the end of the day, the amount of money they're going to pay him over the next 20 years, he basically could have.
Yeah.
But this kid is unbelievable.
And he obviously loves being an Islander, which obviously, so you look back to these guys, and again, it was before your time, but you very well know who Bossy was, and Nystrom and Trottier. Every one of these guys to a man, Clark Gillies, who I was blessed to meet a couple of times, my favorite player of all time, these guys all were embraced by Long Island. They stayed on Long Island, every one of them. They're all still around. You can still see them, the ones that are still alive. And, we had, later on, we had Turgeon, we had LaFontaine, Tavares. But what you're seeing here is a guy who's probably going to fit the same mold as these guys from the 80s, where he wants to be part of this culture and climate for the rest of his life.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, the Islanders have done a good job of, even the guy, the Josh Baileys, the Matt Martins, the, Sezikis, Clutterbuck. A lot of these guys, they all, Sezikis is still in the team, but a lot of these guys, they still live on Long Island.
Yeah, they all do.
They do, they all live here because they fall in love with the area and proximity to the city
and Long Island,
the
out
schools,
east.
the golf, and everything. But yeah, I mean, I genuinely think again 2 years ago I would have told you the Mets. So it'll be the first team to to win, and the Mets still who the hell knows where the Mets are at. But the future of the Islanders, it is just it's as exciting as to be. And they finally Lou Lamoriello didn't allow them to go on podcasts, do any content. They're doing content. Their players are having personalities. This is what you need to engage with the young generation. I'm telling you, my son and his friends, they're all Islander fans.
And that's a blessing because they're young and they're going to watch this team grow. And I think, with the GM in place, I don't think he's going anywhere. I think we have a guy that can be there for the next 10 or 15 years to help kind of breed this culture even further, which is amazing. We're actually almost out of time, but I do want to hit on the Mets because you're also a Met guy too. I'm curious to know what you think of this this kind of phenomenon right now that's being kind of taken over the Mets, that there's not going to be a captain because of the fact that there's kind of a divisive force in the locker room that potentially is what made Alonso leave or them not keep him. You have Soto and Lindor, who clearly don't like each other. A lot of people have told me on the inside that Lindor brought some things into the dugout, into the locker room that kind of divided things. How do you feel about the future of the Mets right now, about the return of the non-return of Alonso, first of all, and where you think this franchise is going right now?
I mean, it's still hard to fathom when, Steve Cohen says, fans come out, support the team.
Mm-hmm.
They sell out numbers like never before.
Yeah.
And then they completely flop that second half in an embarrassing way. At the end of the day, all they had to do was win the last game of the season because Cincinnati lost, and they still couldn't do it.
That's right.
I mean, it was terrible. And
Horrific.
then to not bring back Alonso, the clear fan favorite, homegrown, home run leader, to not bring back Diaz, Nimmo's a tough pill to swallow, but okay, fine. I would have been okay with the Nimmo McNeil. I would have liked to see Diaz and Alonso. Listen, it is what it is. At this point, this is the bed that they have to lay in. That Stearns has put together with Mendoza. I think if it doesn't work out this year, they have to clean house with both of them because I don't know what you do. Who knows? Listen, they say that, listen, that core ultimately never did anything other than that one unbelievable year.
Yeah.
And I wish they could have capitalized on it. Listen, I know it seemed like a laughing joke, but I said, bring back Jose Iglesias. Bring back Jose Iglesias. Listen, everyone loved, oh my God, he had all the vibes. And apparently, him and J.D. Davis were huge locker room guys that without them,
why would you
the
let
locker
them
room
not
went,
come
went
back?
astray.
It makes no sense to me.
So they didn't because they had young guys they wanted to put in those spots. Though
Yeah.
they've traded away a couple of those young guys already.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I guess, listen, jury's out.
Yeah.
Who knows? They brought in a couple, Bo Bichette. They brought in a couple of interesting guys. I like Freddie Peralta. I like Bichette. Let's see what happens. At the end of the day, the expectations, they can't be worse than last year in terms of how pathetic that second half of the season was. But do I love that now the bar is make the playoffs when the bar like 2 years ago was like
win the World Series
win the World
or
Series?
bust.
No, yeah, I don't love that.
So for me, I mean, I don't get the vibe that Diaz wanted to be here. I think he wanted to go to L.A. I think he wanted to be out of New York.
Yeah,
about
as my son said, traitor.
Yeah, I don't think he wanted to be here. The idea of moving Nimmo was tough because I've met him. He's a wonderful human being. And as a diehard Yankee fan, he's probably one of my favorite players of all time. But being that he's getting up there, he's 34 years old, not a great defender. I kind of got it. Semien is also, of age, that he's getting older, but he's a good defender. I was okay with that move. I thought McNeil had to be gone. I thought it was just time with him smashing his helmet and all of his other bullshit. The thing that I cannot wrap my brain around, and I get it's Stearns and his feeling of defense. The fact that you have a homegrown guy who the fans love, who's going to hit 40 and 100 every year and can scoop the ball as good as anyone. The fact that you just don't get rid of Derek Jeter. You just don't get rid of, Mo Rivera. Guys who your organization breeds, you take the warts and all. And if he would have taken 150 for 5 like he got, they should have made him that offer, and to my knowledge, they did not. And it makes I can't understand it. And I think they're going to be really sorry they fucked that up.
But this is 2 years in a row that they didn't want him. I mean, listen. Ultimately, it was like what bothers me is like they gave him last year a prove it deal, right? Yeah. And he proved it.
I mean,
he was the best player on the team last year.
Not even close.
He did everything they asked of him.
Yeah.
So it's infuriating. Listen, I'm a grown up, but my son who's 7 was devastated. Like, these kids are devastated. And listen, Polar Bear Pete should have been a Met forever. So and I'll never disagree with that stance because personally, also baseball, they have this great thing. It's called a designated hitter.
Yeah.
And so if at one point all the projections say his first base is going to go downhill, great. Make him the DH. And apparently, from what I've read and heard, that he was okay with that, not next year, but he was okay with that being part of his future down the line.
I think what's lost is that Pete Alonso's not 37 years old. He's going to be 31 years old this year.
Everyone's acting like he's so old, as if he's already peaked. Like he didn't already peak. He had a great season.
He's only been around since 19. Like he's still young.
I agree. People act like he's a 38-year-old veteran that they're shipping out. For all we know, he could be hitting his prime now. We don't know that.
And in that park in Camden Yards, he's going to go crazy. The thing that bothered me the most about it, aside from the lack of allegiance to a homegrown player, is that now you have a guy like Soto who walks a lot, and now he's going to walk a whole lot more because you're not going to be afraid to, you would pitch to Pete to not go to, but now there's not anyone really in that lineup with the same type of strength.
They think Bo Bichette is
I love Bo Bichette, but again, he's an 1880 guy. Yeah. He's not a 4120 guy who can hit bombs at a place like Citi Field that is a hard place to hit bombs at. So it's an issue for me, but it is what it is. Let's see what happens. Dude, I could go on forever with you. You've been a phenomenal guest. I thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have. Before we go, just pitch whatever you got. Your media group, anything at all, please go ahead and tell us about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad. Thanks for having me on. Keegan's loss.
What?
Screw that guy.
Yeah.
So I've taken over for him now officially. I'll be here every week, and he won't
Hershey
be.
in the guild, man.
No. Listen. Obviously, I'm hoping to continue to getting up here. I appreciate when James and they put me up here, and would love to do it more consistently. And that part of that's on me and make myself available. But
I message you like, dude, you got to do it. They like you here.
I'd love to do it more. And I got a couple big projects going on. Some I can talk about, some I can't. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
my goal is to continue to do what I do and to grow, and hopefully, my peak isn't August 11th,
2010. No, it definitely isn't.
That's
And
hopefully
yeah, man. Well, again, you've been terrific. I could talk to you forever. I had a feeling that this was going to work. And sometimes when I have someone on that, the truth is, we don't know each other that well. We know each other throughout the years, but I just had a feeling that you were going to really fucking destroy today, and you did. And thank you for being here. And we'll have you back on again when the Keegs is here. We'll have even more fun. Next time.
Forget him.
Yeah,
Forget
yeah.
him. We don't
So thank you. And before we go, Tony, you know that I'm super sensitive about not going over time. You know that. So sorry that we're a few minutes over.
No problem.
But Knock 'em Dead Comedy, please have. I want you to not only promote what shows you have coming up, but I also want you to remind people about the great shows that you have in the morning 5 days a week here at the Gov's Comedy Club podcast studio.
Thank you, pal. Well, it's both Knock 'em Dead Comedy. We got an 80s themed murder mystery that's playing at the Birchwood Glen in Holtzville March 21st. Go to knockemdeadcomedy.com. And then, like you said, the Knock 'em Dead Comedy Show every Monday through Friday here on Gov's Comedy Club podcast at 11 a.m. And it goes till 12:30 p.m. I have a different co-host every day, and we have great guests, and we have a great time. And
I think it's important to realize that Tony puts on a show here for an hour and a half, 5 days a week, and I know how much effort and strength I put into this show for 1 hour every Tuesday. So every day, the fact that Tony's here and he's here with his buddy, sometimes it's Jeff Scalzi, sometimes it's our dear friend Rosie Fumara on Fridays. There's other people that are in, Diane Fogarty on Tuesdays, and every show is a little bit different of Tony's. So for my Herschy and Keegs fans, which I know there's a lot of you out there watching and listening, please make sure you give it a shot on 5 days a week, 11 o'clock till 12:30 to Knock 'em Dead Comedy. Okay, we're gonna wrap it up here a few minutes late, which is not my MO. You guys know that, but there was just so much to cover with Tyler. But we'll have him back on again. You guys know the drill. Share, like, all the things that possibly could help Herschy and the Keegs show. We appreciate you. We love you, and we will be back next week. Tony, we have no cancellation or anything. Nope. Next week is what's the date? February.
The 20.
Do we have a show next week, or do we have a reason why you're? We do.
Next week is the
24th.
24th.
Do we have a show?
I'm free.
Oh, okay. All right, good. We'll see you guys next Tuesday.
March 24th.
Maybe I'm getting confused there. I have to check those dates there. But all right, we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much. Love you. See you. Bye.